Today we're playing with a whole bunch of new favorites. Welcome in, I'm Kimberly. This is Pretty Over 50, where we talk everything makeup, skincare, and style for the over 50 woman. Today we're just having fun with makeup. I'll be playing with some new favorites that I just look forward to working with. You know, it was so funny. I woke up this morning excited to play with these makeup products. If you're new here, a very special welcome to you. I'm so glad you stopped by. I hope you'll consider subscribing while you're here and make sure you click that notification bell so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. Not only am I playing with really fun makeup today, it gets even better. My season of holiday friendship continues, and this video is in collaboration with my sweet friend Mel from Mel C's Makeup and Style. You guys probably already know Mel because she and I have worked together a few times in the past, and I just love her. She is my Canadian friend and is in love with makeup and skincare for us over 50 gals. She has such a wonderful channel. If you haven't been over there, make sure you go over there today, because not only is her video going to be a lot of fun because she's sharing her favorites as well, but she has a wealth of information over there. She does wonderful makeup reviews, great tutorials. And here's the thing you're going to love about Mel. She has the most lovely personality. She is so sweet and so calm and so gentle and just wonderful to watch. Mel's going to be sharing favorites as well. And you know what? I'm hopping right over there because we don't share ahead of time, and I'm really curious to see what product she's going to be demonstrating today. I'll have Mel's video linked down below. Make sure you stop by there, click the like button, subscribe, and let her know that you stopped by in the comments. We're gonna hop right into these favorites today. As always, all products that I use and mention today will be listed and linked below, so super easy for you to find. And with that, let's hop into it. I've already done my brows, and of course I used the Revlon Colorstay Brow Creator. This is my favorite lately. I don't think I've used anything else on my brows except a setting gel since I picked this up. And I also have the City Lips Clear on my lips to give them a little bit of fullness while I do my makeup. For primer today, I'm going to be using the L'Oreal Age Perfect Blurring Face Primer. This is really a good primer. I can't say it's the best primer that I've ever used, but it is definitely a solid primer at a great drugstore price. Every time I use this, it gives me a very, very satisfying finish. It does blur out my pores and just gives my face a beautiful canvas to start with. For my under eyes, you're not going to be surprised. This is the Beauty Pie Under Eye Genius. This is just so wonderful. Not only does it really help keep my concealer in place, but it gives my under eyes just the most beautiful glow while correcting my purple circles. For eyeshadow primer today, I'm going to be using the Anastasia Beverly Hills Eye Primer. I've had this, gosh, for so very long, probably over a year. This is their little sample size. I think it's like $13 or $14. It's really, really affordable. I still have a ton of product in here. It hardly feels like I've used any product at all. Great bang for your buck with this eyeshadow primer. And that just gets patted in all over the eyelids. Today I'm going to be working with the Natasha Denona Glam Face Palette. I'm so excited about this. I did a review on both the light and the dark palettes earlier in the week. I'll go ahead and list it up there if you didn't see that. These palettes are so exciting to me, and they're the type of makeup product that are really, really fun to dive into. In that video where I talked about both the light and the dark palette, I demoed the dark palette. Today I'm going to be working with the light palette, and I'm so excited. As you can see, this is a face palette with a blush, highlighter, and 5 shadows. I found the formulas in both of these to be just yummy, and I'm excited to dip into this today. One of the things about these palettes is that the formulas are so yummy, and I love the way all the products sit on top of my very mature skin. I can say that so far from my experience with these palettes, they're really, really good for us more mature gals. For the shadows in the palette, she has listed where they go on the eyes instead of naming the shadows. In other words, crease color, transition color, smoke color. I'm going to go ahead and pretty much just follow that formula today. I'm going to take the 202 brush and dip it into this transition color right here. Tap it off, and then that's going to go right above my natural crease. And I'm going to expand that transition color today to almost go over the entire lid. I want a very smooth transition from the lid color up into my brow area. So I'm just going to very softly work that color over the lid, almost all the way through the movable lid and just underneath that brow. These formulas are so lovely to work with, really easy to blend, nice pigment level, not too sheer but not too dark either. Now I'm going to take that same 202 brush and dip it into this crease color right here. I'm going to get that pigment just on the tip of the bristles, tap it off, and then that's going to go deeper into my crease area in a much more targeted way. So I'm going to lay my brush down towards the outside of my eye, because where you put your brush first is where the most pigment is going to lay down. And I want it a little bit darker towards the outside of my eye. So place it there first and work it across the lid and shear that color out. I always forget to bring you guys in closer. Is that better? There we go. A whole lot of me on the screen. I'm going to dip my brush in again, tap it off, place it on the outside of my lid in that crease area, and just start blending that over. The really wonderful thing about working with a palette like this is that every color just blends in so beautifully to create a very cohesive look. Bringing just a little bit of that transition color down to the outside third of my movable lid and really just blending it in. Now I'm going to take the big fluffy Angie 503 brush, and I'm just softening up those edges and working one color into another. Now I'm going to take a flat, more detailed brush, and I'm going to dip it into this smoke shade right here. Get a little bit right on the bristles of that brush, tap it off, and then that's going to get laid right on the outside of my movable lid, up into that crease, and then down along the lash line. This is my darkest color, so I want to place the emphasis on the outside of my lid. Same thing on the other eye. And as I bring it up a little bit here, that's going to help lift my eye up and sort of act as a wing without actually having to do a wing. And down along the lash line. Now back in with that big fluffy 503 brush, and I don't want to move that darkest color around very much. I just want to smooth out the edges so it's a very, very subtle transition from one color to another. So just back and forth in small little circles to blend that in. Now to work on the lid, I'm going to take my flat, small Rephr 02 brush and dip it into this outer corner color right here. And I'm only going to get that color on one side of the brush. So right here we have the pigment, and I'm going to lay that towards the outside of my movable lid. And I'm just pressing that in to the skin. Patting that in. This shadow has a little bit of sparkle to it, or a little bit of glitter. It's very, very subtle though, and for me it's not inappropriate for mature lids. There's something really beautiful about this particular shadow. So I've worked that about halfway across my movable lid. Now I'm going to flip the brush over and dip it into this inner corner here, tap that off, and pat that from the halfway point to the inside of my eye. I'll tell you what, these shadows are so fun to play with. They just look so beautiful on the lids. Now I'm going to take a clean little detail brush. This is the Angie 502. And I'm just going to lightly brush that along the lid to really blend those shadows in and then up into the crease. So again, I have a very smooth transition. Same thing on this side. Just blend those shadows in and into the crease. And that's really just going to blend all those colors in so that they meld together seamlessly. For foundation today, I'm using probably my favorite drugstore foundation. This is the Revlon Colorstay. I'm in the color 200. Here's what I love so much about this foundation. First of all, it's a drugstore price, which is always a plus. It really ranks in that category of foundations that just always works well. It's not fussy. I don't have to manage it. It just goes on beautifully, looks terrific all day long, does great things for my skin, doesn't give me polka dot pores. It really is one of those fuss-free, really, really good products. I love it. I'm going to start with about a pump on the back of my hand and dot that around. I'm going to work that in with a Refer foundation brush. This just always looks so pretty. I'm going to add just a little bit more on my cheeks and down on my chin and a little bit on the sides of my face. Isn't that just a beautiful coverage? Covers all my little doodads, stays in place all day. Now I'm going to take my beauty blender and just press that in. I'm still testing out this beauty blender. I like it. I don't know if I like it more than my Sigma sponge, but I'm going to keep using it. I'll let you guys know my final thoughts in about a week. If you haven't used a sponge with your foundation, what I can say is that it just leaves such a beautiful finish on the skin. I really like the way my foundation looks after I've worked a sponge over it. For concealer, it's the Kosas Revealer Concealer today. I actually received this in PR. I put it aside for a little bit and then I finally pulled it out and used it, and you know what? I really like it. It's a great concealer. It does all the things you want a concealer to do. It covers up all your little doodads and purple circles. And it lays down really nice. It's not drying. It's just really a nice little concealer offering. I like the fact that this color is a little bit brighter because I do like my under eyes to be brighter than the rest of my face. Got the 205 brush. I always just sort of work my concealer around and press it in with the 205 first before I finish off with a sponge. I like to get it up in that little nook on the inside of my eye where things can get a little bit shadowy because my eyelids are not as taut as they used to be. And then just press that in with a sponge. And then this is an opportunity, if you got your eyeshadow a little further down than you would like it, you can really pat that concealer in and clean up that area. I've been a little bit over the top lately in doing contour and bronzer. It's just been a lot of fun for me. I suppose it's just another way to play with makeup. The contour that I've really been loving is this Fenty Beauty Cream Contour. I'm in the color Amber. It's a darker color with a gray undertone, which does a great job of contouring my complexion. I'm just going to take a little bit on my finger right here and place that around my face, a little bit up in my hairline. I only do one side because that's the only side that you see with my hairdo. And then down underneath my chin. And then I go in with a stipple brush and just work that in. Keep an eye out for how it looks when you do contour and bronzer. It really creates a very deep, rich look with a lot of beautiful angles on your face. So this is creating the shadowing. And see how that just cuts my cheekbone right there and really gives a lot more definition to my face. For bronzer, I'm going to be using the Milani Silky Matte Bronzer. This is in the color Sunkissed. This is a rediscovered love for me. I've actually had this probably, gosh, about a year and a half. I put it away, got involved with other bronzers, came back to this one. A little bit on my e.l.f. pointed brush, and then watch what happens when I just add that bronzer on top of that contour. It just adds the most beautiful glow. So you have depth and then glow on top of it. Really lovely. Watch what happens to my cheek area. Isn't that pretty? So just a lot more richness and depth. And a little bit underneath my chin, down my neck. And that's just going to give a very cohesive colorway to the complexion. And you can already see how the eyeshadow is just popping as a result of that complexion being a little bit more chiseled out and warmed up. I'll tell you, I'm so tickled with these palettes, it's almost like I want to play with them every day. It's like having a new toy or something. We get to jump into the face products in this palette now, and one thing I can tell you is they're gorgeous. They're truly gorgeous. This blush is a cream formula, but it's a very different cream formula. Comparing this formula to other cream blushes I've tried, this formula is a little bit drier. It almost feels sort of like a powder when you first dip your finger into it, but once you start blending it over the skin, you can see it. It's just a beautiful, beautiful consistency. I'm going to get a little bit on my IT blush brush right here, and wait till you see this color on the skin. It is so beautiful. It's a gorgeous neutral rosy tone. I really think that this would just go well on so many different complexions. I'm just going to place that on the high points of my cheek. And look at how that tone just really complements that eye color. Now I'm going to take the bottom of my dampened sponge and just press that in. And I'm focusing around the edges so that it blends in really smoothly with my complexion. I just love the whole tone going on here. Let me show you the highlighter here. This is a very beautiful champagne-y gold. It almost looks like it has a little bit of a pink shift to it. It's pretty intense, so I'm going to be fairly gentle with the application. I'm going to go in very gently and just get some on my brush, tap it off, and right on the high points of my cheeks. Isn't that just so pretty? Now I'm going to take a fluffy brush and just gently blend that in. I'm going to take that same brush, there's just a little bit of product left on here, and very gently sweep that underneath my brow. Now I'm going to take a big fluffy brush, this is the Revlon number 30, swirl it around in my Milani Prep Set and Glow, tap it off, and then that's just going to get tapped all over the complexion to kind of add just a subtle finishing glow. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Setting Spray. Before I do my mascara, I'm going to go back into the palette and dip my finger into this inner corner color right here, and I'm going to tap that right on the inside half of my lid just to highlight it up a little bit more. This tapping in of the shadow is going to give it more intensity than you can get from the brush. So I'm just lightening up that area a little bit. And now I'm going to take a tiny detail brush, dip it into that same inner corner, and I'm just going to put that right on the inside corner of my eye, right next to the tear duct. I have lined my eyes and tight lined with the brown denim from L'Oreal. This is the Lay Liner line, and curled my eyes with the Rephr eyelash curler. Now I want to show you an interesting mascara combination. I have been using the L'Oreal Lash Primer for several months now and really loving it. Recently I picked up the Lancome Seals Booster XL. I've been testing and trying it, and today I'm going to show you how it looks paired with the Maybelline Sky High Mascara. You guys have seen the combination of when I used the L'Oreal primer. Using the Seals primer is a little bit different, and I think you're going to find it kind of fascinating. This is a beautiful tube, and it has a standard mascara wand on the inside. And I put it on my lashes exactly the same way that I do the L'Oreal. And what I can say about this formula is that it's a little bit thinner and probably a little bit more elegant than the L'Oreal. And I'm not sure why I use that word elegant. It just seems to go on a little bit thinner and a little less clumpy than the L'Oreal. And you're going to see the difference in how my eyelashes look once I put the Maybelline mascara on. So I'm putting a good coat on all the way from the base to the tips with this primer. And one thing I can say is that it seems to be a little bit more important for this primer to dry down before the mascara is applied. Now I'm going to go in with the Maybelline Sky High, and it's really interesting the difference in how my lashes look with this primer as opposed to L'Oreal primer. So here's one coat with the Maybelline Sky High with that Seals primer underneath it. Here's the eye with the mascara, here's the eye without. Clearly a big difference. What I notice with the Seals primer is that my lashes are a little bit fluttier. Is that my lashes are a little bit more fluttery. In other words, I think the L'Oreal primer makes them a little bit more volumized and a little bit thicker than this primer does. This seems to make them a little bit lighter, although the length is definitely there. So I find it really interesting that a primer can make such a difference in how your mascara looks when it would appear that both formulas are very similar. So here we have 2 coats of the mascara on top of the Ciehl's primer. And you can see that my lashes are very lengthened and they're a little bit more fluttery than when I use the L'Oreal primer. I think it's just a matter of taste, whether you like your eyelashes a little bit lighter, lengthened but a little bit lighter, or if you like them more volumized. So I think that's a good comparison between these 2 primers. We get to hop into lips now, and I'm so excited about this lip combination. I actually demoed this lip combination in a video I did earlier in the week. I'll go ahead and list it up here if you didn't see it. This is the BK Beauty lipstick and lip liner. When I tried this color combination on, I just about lost my mind. It was so gorgeous. It is right up my alley. This is the lip liner in Alter Ego, and this is the lipstick in Passion. This lip liner is a twist up, and you can see it has an angled tip right here. It took me a little bit to get used to working with these, but once I did, I really enjoyed it. So let's go ahead and take a look at both of these colors. So here's the lip liner in Alter Ego, and this is the lip color Passion. This color right here, Passion, can really tint and tone out depending on what lip liner you use. Wait till you see the combination of these 2. It is simply gorgeous. I think this is probably the creamiest lip liner I've ever worked with. It feels so good on the lips. So I pretty much filled my entire lip in. Now I'm going to just go in with my finger and soften things up a little bit. Now watch what happens when I put the lipstick on. Isn't that just stunning? Here we have the finished look. Gosh, I had a lot of fun with that makeup look today. I'm a big fan of the Natasha Denona Glam face palette, both the dark and the light. We used the light today. One thing I can say about these formulas is that I think that they work beautifully for very mature skin, which I have. I think this look would work very well for a variety of skin tones, and I think it's a very versatile palette. One thing I can say is these 2 shimmer shades have a little bit of sparkle in them. They just do. For me, it's not the kind of sparkle that you would see in a ColourPop formula where the sparkles are really big. This seems to be more sophisticated and more muted. However, the sparkles are there. So if sparkles are a no-go for you, this won't work for you. But if you're open to a little bit of sparkly shimmer on your lids, I can tell you both of these palettes are so much fun to work with. Another big plus when you're looking at a palette like this is all the colors are beautifully toned to work together. I think the blush looks terrific. The highlighter is just lovely. The whole color scheme just works beautifully, as it should. It's a high-end face palette. I believe these palettes retail for $59. My opinion is that it's really worth it. The shadows are beautiful. The face products are glorious. This is a great size to travel with. So really loving the Natasha Denona Glam Face Palette in both the dark and the light. The Kosas Concealer, I think, is a great offering in the concealer world. It does a beautiful job of covering up my under eyes. It's a wonderful formula. It's not too thick, and it does feel hydrating underneath my eyes. I did not set my concealer today, and it looks terrific. Personally, I find it really interesting what a difference a primer can make on your eyelashes. This is the L'Oreal Eyelash Primer. This is the Lancome Cils. I think that's how you pronounce it, C-I-L-S. I am surprised at the difference in the finished look of my eyelashes depending on which one of these I use. The L'Oreal gives me a little bit more volume and a little bit heavier, thicker lash look. The Cils is definitely more fluttery and a little bit lighter. I think it's really a personal preference on which you think is going to work best for you. And can we talk about the lip combination today? I'll tell you, I am over the moon for this color. This is the BK Beauty line of lipsticks. Super hydrating, lovely formula, feels so nourishing on the lips. When you pair Passion with the Alter Ego lip liner, it's just over the top for me. I think this is one of the prettiest reds I've tried this season. I am loving this lip combination. Both these formulas are extremely hydrating, very affordable line for a higher end lipstick line. I believe the lipsticks are $22 and I think the lip liners are $12 or $14. So very reasonable for a beautiful lipstick collection. I want to thank you for joining me for this full face of favorites today. I hope you found it fun, useful, and helpful. If you did, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Make sure that you hop on over to Mel C's channel. I know she's going to put together a wonderful look with some great favorites. I can't wait to find out what she's sharing. I'll have her video listed down below. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and check in with her in the comments. If you're here from Mel's channel, I'm so grateful that you stopped by. I hope you enjoyed yourself and that you'll subscribe before you leave. You guys know it just tickles me when you take a few minutes out of your day to spend it with me. I appreciate that, and I appreciate you. Again, I'm Kimberly. This is Pretty Over 50, where we talk everything makeup, skincare, and style for the over 50 woman. Make it a great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.